Alright guys, if you haven't seen the thumbnail and the title, basically what I'm doing is that I'm going over one buff idea for every single killer, except the nurse. I think the nurse is the only one that I'm not doing a buff idea because she's basically, I think, in the most balanced state she's ever been right now. So she's perfectly fine right now. Or as fine as a teleporting killer can be, right? I mean, yeah, but let's just get straight into it. My buff idea for Trapper would be to make some of his add-ons base kit. For example, I've said this in a previous video before, but in my personal opinion, I feel like makeshift wrap should be base kit. Like him being able to go through his own traps should just be something that he should be able to do without an add-on. If the devs really think that the trapper is really overpowered with all his traps without having some kind of downside, because I know that there's the purple trapper bag, but it does have a very strong negative of the fact that you can't pick up your traps anymore. I just think that that's a stupid downside that should not even really be there. It's like you are already dealing with one of, if not the most weakest killer in the game, and to have such a downside like that just doesn't make sense to me. So either for me it would be make some of his add-ons base kit and possibly just make him start with his traps all game. Every killer beyond Trapper has their own traps with them. Hag has her traps with him. Trapper is, I think, the only one that has to pick up something across the map. Okay, so next is Wraith. Wraith is in a pretty good position considering, you know, as far as a killer that can be without any like slowdown, like, you know, like a base kit slowdown, like something else that they have to do. His powers all chase. In my opinion, all I would do for Wraith as a small buff idea is literally just make it where shorten the range of where the survivors can see them. Like when he's like, because I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I'll search this up, but it's 20 meters. It's 20 meters right now where like the survivor can still see like your cloakiness, like you're not completely invisible. I would say just bring that down to 10 meters. So just basically half of it, just to make it where he can actually get to someone much closer and give him less time to react. Because I mean, and somebody might think that this is a bit too overpowered, but in my opinion, Ray doesn't have any slowdown, like any general slowdown in his base kit. He has nothing, so he needs a really strong chase power in order to be effective against other killers, or just to be effective in his own match, really. So the next one is the Hillbilly. For me, the Hillbilly, what I would do is that I would change some of his add-ons to be a little more effective. In my personal opinion, Hillbilly's power right now, his chainsaw is not that bad. The overheat is not as oppressive as it used to be. All I would say is that his add-ons sometimes could be a little lackluster. Right now, I have two examples of two add-ons that they can change. For example, Leafy Mush and Mother's Helpers. Mother's Helpers right now, if you get stunned by a pellet, you can rev your chainsaw 18% faster for 30 seconds. It's very niche and it's very hard to use because you're on a time thing. So in my personal opinion, the way I would buff these add-ons, let's say for example, you get stunned and you have Mother's Helpers, right? So instead of it being a timer, I would say it would be better if you just had like for your next 3 uses of chainsaws, you have that 18% reduction in like being able to rev your chainsaw. So basically revving your chainsaw 18% faster for your next 3 chainsaw hits. It doesn't, I mean, well, not hits, but like as long as you know, you go through the animation, like you go the 100% and then he does the scream and then he stops, that's considered 1. And then he does another one, 2, and then 3. There you go. I feel like that would make these add-ons so much more better than being on a time basis and could honestly really be really good. Another thing that I would also change is that I feel to a certain degree that it feels like Iridescent Brick is kind of garbage. Like honestly, you're better off just running Apex Muffler. Apex Muffler is significantly better than Iridescent Brick. Like they need to change Iridescent Brick to something else, but I don't have an idea for that, but for me that's just something that they need to change. But I think that Leafy Mush to Mother's Helpers, I feel like same goes with Leafy Mush, right? I just brought Mother's Helpers because I feel Mother's Helpers is a lot more useful. You get flashlighted, right? With Leafy Mush, well then there you go. For 3 uses of your chainsaw, you can rev your chainsaw 18% faster. That would be so much better for Hillbilly. Okay, so the nurse. Yeah, like I said, the nurse is honestly, I think, in the most balanced position she's ever been. Like I said, for a teleporting killer, she's possibly in the most balanced state she's been in a while. No nurse buffs. No. Any little buff that nurse would get right now, she would literally just instantly be broken again. For Mikey Myers, all I have is that he should just be able to infinite stalk. For Michael Myers, after a while of stalking one survivor, they turn red. Like they go from white to red, and that just means that you cannot stalk them anymore. And I feel like this is just an outdated thing. Oni can technically have his power for infinite amount of times, you know, and his is an insta down. Honestly, arguably, Oni's power is significantly better than Michael's, and Michael's is like Michael could only really use it like maybe, I think if I'm not mistaken, like 3 to 4 times, and then that's it. And Oni could technically have it for as much time as he wants. So why shouldn't Michael be able to have infinite stocking? So in my opinion, yes, that would be one buff idea to Michael. Let him have infinite stocking. There's a lot of things that need to change with Michael. He's too outdated already. Okay, so the Hag. This one is a hot take, honestly, in my opinion. Or I don't know if it's considered a hot take. I just assume it would be a hot take. So in my opinion, I feel like the Hag should not be 110. She should be 115. It feels like there's really no reason for her to be 110. Like, her power is not too strong. Her power is not like Huntress's, where like if she can get a hit across the map, she still technically has like a range where she cannot teleport to the trap. If it's too far, she's not teleporting, or not, she has to like do too many sacrifices, like she has to like literally give up a chase just so she can teleport. So no, that's why I feel like she's not really deserving of being 110. Just make her 115. Her power's not too strong, because really 110 is only given to ranged killers, or killers with a really strong power. Like for example, Huntress can literally bring somebody down from across the map. Trickster has a pretty strong power, and so it makes sense for him to be 110. He has a very strong chase power. So all of that, I feel like those are, and Artist too. Artist has a pretty strong power, so it makes sense for them to have 110. But I feel like Hag should not be 110. She should definitely be 115. Her power's not really that strong in my opinion. But anyways, who plays Hag nowadays? So, because I guess nobody really cares. Okay, for the Doctor, this is another weird one. I feel like maybe some people might not like this, but Wesker has a really big terror radius. He has a 40-meter terror radius, which it helps him at times with certain perks. And I feel like the Doc should have a 40-meter terror radius as well, because his power is, well, his static blast revolves around his terror radius. So I feel like they should just buff him like that by giving him a really big terror radius. And I feel like, I know lore shouldn't really like mess with the gameplay, but I feel like this would be really cool with Doctor, because Doctor's supposed to be like this like big scary doctor that you don't know where he is, and he starts like crazy, and like you start hearing things, and like his terror radius is big, so you can literally like just look at fucking Doctor. He looks like a fucking maniac. I feel like he would have the biggest terror radius out of everybody. So I feel like he should definitely have 40 meters, and then still keep those add-ons of the calm, like the calm add-ons. I think those are the ones that when your static blast is not ready, your terror radius drops by 8 meters, but when it's ready, it goes up to 8. Keep those. I feel like he should really have a really big terror radius, and it would also help him, because at one point it gets to the point where a terror radius can get so big to the point where you can't even dictate where the killer is. So I feel like that's how Doctor should be, in my opinion, that his terror radius is so big to the point where you don't even know where he is. So Huntress, in my opinion, honestly, I don't think she needs a buff. I feel like she's honestly the most balanced ranged killer. She's 110, and it makes sense why she's 110. There's literally everything's fine, and like how she has to reload through her lockers and everything, so it makes sense. Really, if I had to put a buff on her, it would probably just be one more, or maybe 2 hatchets more on her as base kit. That's it. But honestly, I don't even think so. I think she would become pretty powerful like that. But really, that's it. And if you were to add that, I guess it would be more of a rework. Just get rid of the add-ons where she has more. Like, just give her the base kit like the 6 or 7, but that's it. You cannot, with add-ons, you cannot get like 9 or 8 or no, none of that. You're stuck with 7 with no more add-ons. But that's it. But I think she's like really like the most balanced range killer right now. Okay, so for Bubba, this could be considered more of a rework as well, but I feel like this would make Bubba way more fun. Okay, so basically what I would do is that give him an extra token to his chainsaw. So right now he has 3. He can use 3 tokens, so that means that he can go pretty far with 3 tokens. And I would say, fuck it, give him an extra one. All right. So what's gonna be the downside here for this rework? This would kind of stop those camping Bubbas from just like using their chainsaw in a really shitty way, like just camping the hook. I know that they might be adding that anti-camping thing with like the killers, and I really don't think they should add that, but that's another story. Really, the biggest offender of the camping is Bubba, and I feel like if you just change Bubba, you just kind of get rid of camping as a whole, because really camping for all the other killers is not that effective. Bubba is the only one that can camp really good He could just keep like he could just mow down everybody with his chainsaw. So I feel like that by doing this, by giving him an extra token in chase, but he cannot use his chainsaw within a 24-meter range of a hook. This could be there's some downsides with this. This could be used by the survivors in a really bad way, because they're like, okay, I'm just gonna start looping around the hook. But even then, if you start hooking around the loop, then you're never gonna have pressure. You're literally allowing him to camp on a hook, but you're there. It's not like he's just camping just to camp. You're camping there because, oh, he can't use his chainsaw right here. But I feel like it would incentivize Bubbas to, they would have a much stronger chase power, and they wouldn't have to camp. You don't even have to camp with Bubba, but it would, I feel like this would be a cool buff rework. Okay, so for Freddy, there's a lot of things I would like to do, but if I had to choose just one, I would make more of his add-ons on snares. Make more of his add-ons work with snares. Right now, there is nothing that works with snares. I think there's only one, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's, what's that green block? The Z block? No, it's not Z block. It's animal block or something like that. It's a green add-on. It's the only one that like the ones that interact with the hemorrhage and blindness. That's it. Those are the only ones that work with snares. Snares don't have anything. Like make an add-on. Like it's because Freddy has so many useless add-ons. Like I know that the rope used to be really strong. I know rope used to be really strong, but right now it's useless. Right now, oh, survivors make more noise when in the dream world. No, that's dumb, and it's too niche and useless, honestly. So make those add-ons, snare add-ons. Maybe make where the snare is a little bit bigger, or make it work like kind of like, or make it like clown, where clown his what does he have, the chloroform, or his bleach add-ons, the ones that basically make his hinder more powerful. Make that with Freddy, because right now I swear you could literally just run Freddy with no add-ons, and you're not missing out on anything. You're straight up not missing out on anything. Even the Nancy sketch and the other sketch yellow one, the yellow sketch one, they're not even that good, honestly. Like they all suck, honestly, like really. And I think that's why so many people consider Freddy boring. I mean, there's a lot of things that consider Freddy boring, but I feel like that's one of his things. His add-ons are so boring. None of them help you. They're not good. Okay, so for the pig, honestly, all I would do is just make her chase power. I mean, I don't even know if you can consider ambush a chase, but I feel like you can use it in chase if they buff it. Because right now you cannot use ambush and chase right now, and I feel like you should be able to use it, because she's after, if you take away her traps, she is literally just an M1 killer. And the thing is that it really, like really good pig people, like really good pig mains probably don't even use ambush. Like in my opinion, I don't know any pig mains, but I would assume the times that I played pig, just using ambush is not very useful, because it's just the slowdown penalty from like trying to like use it, like from trying to like, you know, get it to 100% is too slow, and sometimes it feels like ambush doesn't last long enough, and I feel like it's just that weak. It's ambush is too weak, so then she ends up just becoming an M1 killer with trap that she can use. So I would definitely have some kind of adjustment to the ambush, make it much stronger, make it last longer. Maybe, like I said, slow down the penalty of like the slowdown of when you're trying to like move with it, like well, but like was so trying to activate it, not too much, because this could become pretty powerful, but maybe just a little more, maybe like 5 or 10% more, you know, like of a boost. But yeah, that's one thing I would change about pig. Okay, so the next one is the clown. In my opinion, I feel like clowns, yellow bottles or piss bottles, as one could say, they should not have a delay, in my opinion. And if the devs really want them to have a delay, then shorten it, really shorten it, because I feel like sometimes it could really be detrimental to clown. Like it feels like clown has too many like he has like a really big downside, considering that he's a really fairly weak killer. And I have an, okay, so for clown, like I said, for these weaker killers, I have more buff ideas because they're a bit weaker, so you can come up with more stuff for them. But for clown, I would maybe, okay, they don't want to do they don't want to like get rid of the delay of the piss bottles. I don't know where I heard this actually. I don't know where I heard it. I don't remember where I heard this from, but this is definitely not from my head. I heard this from somewhere. I just don't remember where. But must have maybe it was Reddit. I'm not sure. Or Twitter. No, actually, I'm okay. I'm gonna stop. I'm not sure. But basically, make it where when you throw the yellow bottles, you have like an actions, you get like a 15% bonus action speed. So what does this mean? Basically, if you throw the yellow bottle, you can break pellets 15% faster. You can break gens 15% faster. You can break walls 15% faster. You can vault through walls 15% faster. All of that. That would give the yellow bottles more use right now. Because right now, your yellow bottles are not the best. With the delay and only speeding you up, sometimes don't even speed you that much. So I feel like definitely they should have that. If they don't want to put the delay. I mean, I would say either or, not both. Because if you have both, he might become too powerful. But I mean, maybe they could do it on a PTB and then they take it away and then they see it or something to see how he would be with having both of those things. But I think either or is better. Okay, so for Spirit, this might be a hot take, but in my opinion, I feel like they should bring back fake vaulting for her. You need to leave. I know. People are gonna be like, I know people are gonna want to get their pitchforks and burn me at the stake, but in my opinion, when fake vaulting was in the game, Spirit had so many broken stuff that honestly, in my opinion, fake vaulting was the weakest thing of those things. For example, back when fake vaulting was still a thing, she had collision when she was in the spirit world. She moved a lot faster. Broken add-ons like Father's Glasses, the Purple Talisman, recovery add-ons, prayer beads, all this stuff. She had a bunch of broken stuff, and in my opinion, I feel like fake vaulting was like the lowest of the low. But now Spirit is in a much better position now. Now she has no collision when she's in the spirit world. Now she has directional phasing, so now you're really good. You can kind of tell where she is. So I feel like having that little bit of game, like having that little bit of like 50-50ness with Spirit would be kind of good, like right now. So I feel like they should add that. That's my only buff idea for her. And if they maybe they shouldn't add it the same way it was back then, but maybe like leave like a little clue that they did it, but like you have to really be paying attention to her. Because right now it's too obvious. Like right now you can obviously tell when she vaults, like she does like this big jumping ball. Like everybody does it, right? All the killers do it. But if they do like maybe like a subtle detail that like, oh, she's doing it, and like only good players could tell like when she's doing it, or maybe you basically I'm making it where you have to be paying attention to her that she's doing it. I don't think they should add it to the fullest extent, but I wouldn't mind it if they added the fake vaulting to the fullest extent. But maybe you can add like a little detail, like maybe she does a little something different when she's about to do the fake vault, or when she might be doing a fake vault. But yeah, right now I think Spirit is in a much balanced state, and I think bringing fake vaulting wouldn't even be that bad for her. It would be a little bit of a help. Okay, so for Legion, a buff idea that I have for him, really Legion as a whole, his whole power, I feel like in my opinion, Legion's power is possibly the most basic power out of all the killers right now. His power is literally, oh, you can injure everybody in the game. That's it. And especially right now, honestly, being injured right now in this current meta is terrible for a killer, right? Because right now, MFT, resilience, all of this shit, buckle up. So being injured right now is not that good, and that's all Legion can do. So in my opinion, what they should be able to do, buff for Legion, would be that for every person that he injures with his power, he gets a 3% bonus action speed and breaking, vaulting, and all of that stuff. So for example, so this would be a maximum of 12%, right? I feel like this would make it where, also there's another thing I have to mention. There's no point in healing with Legion, right? There's no incentive because he could literally just like injure you right away. But with this thing, if he were to have some kind of like secondary effect, kind of like what I just said right now, like that up to 12% of breaking action speed to like breaking generators, breaking walls, breaking pallets, and vaulting windows, that would make it where it's like he becomes a little bit more powerful if you don't try to heal. But like I said, he has to injure with his power. If he doesn't injure with his power, he's not getting that 3% of that survivor. This would make it where it would incentivize survivors to actually heal, and it would give them like something more to do. Because right now with the current meta, no, right? And even without the current meta, like that's just what you have to do with the Legion. You just don't heal. But if he becomes powerful and you're injured, well then that might incentivize for you to, oh shit, man, we still have to heal. Not only this, but this would go really good with other perks. Like for example, imagine Brutal Strength and Bamboozle with this. Brutal Strength would the 20% with the 12%, that would be a really bad at math. Hold up. That would be a 22% breaking. Oh my bad. No, my bad. My math is really bad right now. That would be 32% bonus bonus action speed and breaking pellets. 32% if I'm not mistaken. If my mental math is not that bad, but my mental math is always really bad. But yeah, so that brutal strength, it would make it where he is really powerful. And then with bamboozle, the what is it, 16% if I'm not mistaken, or 15%, 15% in vaults and speed. Pair this up with the 12%, that's a 21% if I'm not mistaken. No, 25. Oh my god, I suck at math. Yeah, 25, 25, 25. It would be a 25. It would give a little bit of chase in his power, because right now he has no chase power, right? Like his power is just injure everybody, but beyond that he still has to down them. Right now with the made for this resilience hope meta, injuring is not enough anymore. So I think this would be an excellent buff for him. Okay, so up next is Plague, and the buff idea that I have for her is that she should have another Corrupt Purge fountain in her base kit, because right now how it works is that no matter what, if the survivors don't cleanse until the very end, or they just don't cleanse at all, like the Plague will spawn with at least one Corrupt Purge, so then she can at least use her power, right? Because that's ended up being like the big problem with Plague, with really high level survivors. When she didn't have this, like they would just never cleanse and she would never got to use her power, because her power is one of the strongest in the game. She has the ability to double tap very fast, almost immediately. So what the devs did is that they gave her a corrupt purge at the beginning of the match, no matter what. I feel like really like the only buff that I could come up with her, because she's a really good killer right now, in my opinion. But if I had to come up with a buff for her, it would just be to maybe give her another one. Give her another one. Add more fountains. Give her another one. Give her another corrupt purge that she can have in her base kit. Like no matter what, if the survivors don't cleanse, she has two. And this is just more for high level survivors, just so she has more room for error, because right now high level survivors will not cleanse maybe until endgame, so you really only have one time to use your corrupt purge. I'm not considering add-ons right now, so this is just base kit. So I think she should have at least two in her base kit, so she has a little more room for error. I think for this they should maybe add like an extra fountain just in case, to like to the whole map that the survivors can cleanse. But yeah, that's about it. I think that's the only thing I can come up with her. It's just so she can have more room for error. Okay, so for Ghosty Boy, for him, honestly, all I would do is just disable or deny the ability for dying survivors and hook survivors to get him out of his stealth mode when he has no terror radius. I feel like they shouldn't be able to do it. From a gameplay point of view, like it just feels like it shouldn't really be there. And I know that there's add-ons that do that, but or at least in the little bit of sense, give those add-ons, because I feel like those add-ons are so niche that there's like two add-ons that do it. Hook survivors take like 3 seconds longer, and dying survivors take 3 seconds longer. They're not together, by the way. They're separate. So you have to run you have to waste two of your add-on slots in order just to run this, which is not it's very niche and not very useful. So in my opinion, all I would do is just deny the ability for Ghostface to not get detected by them at all, or at least add those add-ons into his base kit, because almost nobody's gonna run those. Nobody. They're too niche to run. You're better off just running a brown recovery add-on. Like I said, would you really want to waste a spot on a recovery brown add-on for this? It's not very useful. It's very niche and useless, in my opinion. So they should definitely change that. Okay, so what I have for demo right now at the moment for demo, if he puts all his portals, he cannot put any more. Like that's it. The only way he can put more is if the survivors actually cleanse the portals. I just think this would be more of a quality of life buff, because I really don't know what else you could give demo, because you can't really buff his lunge. If you buff his lunge, he will literally become overpowered. You can't really buff it anymore. I think it's in a really good state. So I think this is more of a just of a quality of life, and it's just that he should be like Hag, or Singularity, where the earliest one that you put down just gets taken away from the map, and it throws it back to you. So it just keeps constantly refreshing and refreshing, so you can constantly keep putting portals. So that, I think it's not a very good buff, but I think it could help in some cases. You could like more freely put your portals without having to worry about like, oh well, then the survivors have to cleanse it or have to use it in order for the survivors to, because remember with demo, they have to see it, or you have to use it and then they see it. So if you don't use it, it's invisible for the entire map. Like if you don't use it for the entire game, that's it. It's invisible to survivors. They will not be able to see it. So therefore they cannot cleanse it or get rid of it. So yeah, that would be my buff for demo. Okay guys, so for Oni, I have not thought about anything. I have literally been sitting on this one for hours, like close to days, honestly, where I just been thinking about it and I can't think of anything that would really not be too overpowered for Oni. Like also, I also don't want to do like, I also don't want to do anything that's like super ridiculous that's gonna like completely bust out the or like make the character like extremely busted. Like I want to do something maybe the behavior can do and it's reasonable, right? I would say that when a character was made really well, it's really hard to think of a buff idea that won't instantly make him instantly overpowered. For example, yeah, I can bring up the buff idea of like making him like super fast, right? Or make him faster while in his demon dash, right? But then that's just ridiculous. He's already super fast. Like he's in a good state. I also wouldn't want to mess. I also wouldn't want the devs to mess with anything with his first hit. Like make it where Oni has a very strong power. So denying his first hit would be amazing. So, and I don't really think that should change that. Like, I don't really think that the killer should get rewarded for not getting a hit. He should be able to get a hit within the first couple of times and within the first couple seconds of the match, right? So I don't really want to mess with any of that. Like, so in my opinion, I think I would do is just maybe I think he has an add-on that lets him flick a little bit easier. Maybe make that base kit and yeah, I think that would be all honestly. Make But like I said, you know, when killers are this hard to find a buff for, it means that they did them pretty well, honestly, in my opinion. Up next is Deathslinger. Deathslinger, I do have a lot of things for him. As a matter of fact, I think I might just say all of them. But Deathslinger right now, I feel like he's not unique enough, and it feels like he's like to a certain degree, he feels like a shittier Huntress, like in my personal opinion. The So the way I would change this, he might be a little too overpowered for this, but well, I have two routes that the devs could go, right? I mean, if they were to ever even watch this or even listen to this, let him have two shots in his magazine. I think that having two shots in his magazine would be incredible, because essentially he can essentially do what Huntress can do. Huntress right now, if she has like 5 hatchets, all 5 of them, even if she has two, she technically still has the ability. If she's good enough, she can double hit the survivor, like hit them once with the hatchet and then hit them again with another hatchet. Deathslinger on the other hand, he can't do that. He has to shoot, get a hit, then he has to reload and then get another hit, which in my personal opinion, that takes a little bit longer and around the same skill as a huntress for like not the same reward essentially. So I think him having two shots in his magazine or in his gun would be really helpful. Like give like good Deathslingers the ability to do the same thing as Huntress, right? And I think that would be perfect. Alright guys, so I was editing the Deathslinger part and I realized the two shot part, the one where I was saying that Deathslinger should have two shots in his magazine, I felt like I didn't elaborate more on that and it feels like it's a bit overpowered, so I'm gonna go ahead and elaborate right now. Slinger is going to have two shots, right, in his magazine. The survivor has to be healthy for this hit, right? And if the survivor is healthy for this hit, it would just injure them and give them the mending or the deep wound status, right? But that's it, if they're healthy. If they're not healthy, no matter how many shots he has on his gun, he's going to reel them in. So it's more of like a way that if you're healthy, it will give you a chance to run away, right? But he still has another shot ready to go. The way I said it before, it made it sound like he was just gonna be able to like that the Deathslinger was gonna reel you in when you're healthy, hit you, then you're gonna be able to you're not gonna be able to run away because he will have another shot and then just bring you back. No, no, no. So no, that's not what I meant. What I meant is that he was going to just injure you with his gun the first time if you're healthy, and then if you're injured, that's when he reels you in. But like the only reason I said that is was because it feels like Deathslinger, the survivor gains too much distance because you have to reel them in, hit them, you do your animation, then you have to reload. It takes forever. Huntress, on the other hand, as long as she has two hatchets, well, she can technically do just hit you, boom, and then hit you again. Honestly, that's why. But yeah, the way I said it there, he would literally become more powerful than Huntress. He would literally be able to end chases immediately. Another route that they could go is make him into a 115 killer and keep the one shot, right? I think making him 115 and doing the one shot, I think that would be, I don't know which one would be better in my personal opinion. I don't know what people would consider, but I think in my personal opinion, I think having two shots is better because I think Deathslinger being able to, he might be a little too overpowered with 115 and one, even though he only has one shot, right? but I'm not sure. But I think having that kind of ability, I think it would make him more unique than the other range killers. Because if you think about it, all range killers right now are 110. So it would be really unique to see Deathslinger to be like the only 115 killer. And mind you, also the thing is that Deathslinger, he can't shoot, like it's not like Hunters, where Hunters, if she sees somebody across the map, if she's good enough, she can have the ability to hit him from all the way over there. Deathslinger, he can. I think he only has like a, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a 16-meter range of his gun. That's it. That is it. Anything. So I feel like that's why in turn he should either have two shots or be 115 with one shot. I would, for uniqueness sake, I would choose the 115 because, like I said, every range killer is 110. So it would be kind of cool to see Deathslinger be like the only 115 killer. It would be kind of cool. For Pyramid Head, I think it's pretty obvious. I think a lot of people have said this before, but honestly, just give him an add-on pass. It's kind of ridiculous how none of his add-ons, or just two of his add-ons work, or two of his, or I guess technically speaking, three add-ons. But nobody, why would anybody use the brown, the one that extends the range of his Punishment of the Damned? In case anybody doesn't know, the Punishment of the Damned is just like that big trail that he can shoot out when he puts his knife on the ground. That's the Punishment of the Damned. The Rites of Judgment is that trail that he leaves behind. Apart from those three add-ons, everything else works towards Rites of Judgment, which is not very good. It's very situational. You have to put it, like, you have to purposefully go out of your way to get them tormented and put them in a really bad location, or put them in a very like bottleneck position. And in my opinion, most of the add-ons don't even do much. They're not very useful. The only ones that could be considered good for Rites of Judgment would just be the duration add-ons, but that's just because he can hold out his power for longer. But yeah, oh, don't get me started on his iridescence though. His iridescence are absolute garbage. But yeah, that's it for Pyramid Head. He needs add-on change for real. Like his add-ons are very niche, and really most people, if you see a good Pyramid Head, all he uses is just range add-ons for his Punishment of the Damned, because that's really like the only useful ones, to be honest. August 2023 Blight, as of to right now, does not need any buffs. He does not need any buffs right now. However, they're gonna change his add-ons eventually, right? Right? They're gonna have to change his add-ons eventually. His add-ons are completely busted, honestly. So I'm gonna go with that mentality that they're going to eventually change his add-ons. So in my opinion, once they do that, then he probably will need a slight buff, and or maybe just something so the Blight mains don't fucking start complaining, because then believe me, Blight mains will complain. Like, they will literally cry their asses off, like, because they've been stuck with those add-ons since he came out. I think they did like one change to all his add-ons, and then that's it. They left them exactly how they are since 2020. I was there. I remember when Compound 21 was OP as shit. Like, you could literally, it was like, I think like a 16-meter range. You basically had like intel on all the survivors, no matter what. I would honestly, in my opinion, it's not a needed buff, obviously, but I think all they should just do is, it depends really, because I don't know if they mess with the speed add-ons, which they probably will. They might just completely outright remove them. If they outright remove them, then I think they should give him a base kit, a little bit faster base kit, like in that case, just so he has a little bit of speed, but not too much of speed as like, not. But I don't want too much to the speed of like even Blighted Rat, because I think Blighted Rat, how it works right now, I think it's a 4% for every hit, maybe 2%, and his base kit, and then just get rid of those add-ons forever. Like, that's it. No more speed add-ons. That's it. And I think that would be fine. And if not, then maybe they can change his turn rate, right? Maybe give Umbra Salts, make that base kit, and then Umbra Salt still gives a more turn rate, so he can flick even more, something like that. And I think so. Yeah, this is something. It's not for Current Day Blight, because Current Day Blight is overpowered as hell, and he does not need buffs. He's essentially like a nurse. He does not need any buffs. But I'm thinking in the way where he's eventually gonna get nerfed with his add-ons. He has to, no way. Even though it's already been close to 3 years, and probably gonna push close to 4. Honestly, who knows? Maybe even fucking 5 years. Half a fucking decade, and my guy has not gotten his add-ons changed. Okay, so the twins, essentially the fucking middle child of DBD, completely ignored, just barely getting some attention with a supposed rework on incoming with her, or him, or them, actually, because it's two of them. I honestly don't know what to suggest with twins. Honestly, in my opinion, something that I would consider for the twins is maybe give her something special about her, because right now it's literally just it's just Victor. It's just Victor. Like your power is Victor, and it feels like she doesn't really do much. I think this is a crazy buff, but I think this is necessary. I feel like if you were to add this, people might actually want to start playing twins, and that's what she needs right now, or they need. When you get on Vic, okay, that sounds weird. When you play Victor, Charlotte can actually move around. She becomes kind of like a mini Knight AI, if you know what I mean. Like, you know how Knight has his AI and they move and everything? Essentially, that's how she becomes. And I think that would help her. And this is how I change it, or this is how I would keep it like relatively balanced. But when you go back to Charlotte, Victor does not move. A moving Victor should never happen. Like, or AI moving Victor, no, 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 no. So I think, but Charlotte alone should actually maybe try to be an AI killer, and that would be, I think, really useful. It would be like a sort of different Knight in a way. Maybe essentially a better Knight, actually, if they were to do this. So I don't know if they should do this, because she might just become a better Knight, honestly. But then Knight also needs buffs, honestly, or maybe he needs to get an entire different rework. So yeah, I think Charlotte being able to move as like give her like an AI, give her sentience while you're not on her, I think would be really good. Okay, so for Trickster, all I have, and it's a really simple one, but I think it would be really cool. He has a purple add-on that lets him ricochet blades, right? And I think that should definitely just be add-on, and like that should just be in his base kit, in my opinion, because it's not only does it help him a lot, but it also lets him play differently than for say Huntress or Deathslinger or Artist, which are like all range killers, right? Because right now, yes, you can just apply the add-on, but then it just feels like, oh, well, then you're wasting an add-on slot and everything, and Trickster's already relatively weak, and not too weak, but he's relatively weak. Like in the grand scheme of things, Trickster's kind of weak. So it would be nice if this was just in his base kit, like he should just be able to ricochet blades. And it will force Trickster, well, not force, but it would make Trickster players play a lot, it would play differently. Because think about it, he will be able to get hits that hunters could never get, and that's essentially what we're trying. That's what they're trying to do with killers, right? They're trying to make them like similar in a way, but different in another way. For example, right here, the survivors in a corner that hunters would never be able to hit, but because you're Trickster, you can like bang shot the blades in a certain way that you could still keep getting hits. So it would imply like a whole different playstyle. It would be more like of a funny Call of Duty tomahawk bang shot kind of like play style. So it would help. It's really fun when you play with Trick Blades add-ons. I think that should just be a base kit, so everybody does it. They don't have to sacrifice add-on slots for it. All right, so for Nemi, all I would do is just give him better zombies. Honestly, make them faster. Just in general, they're too slow at times, and it feels like sometimes it's a hit or miss with the zombies. It could either help you, or they could just straight up not do anything. If not, sometimes even hinder you. But it's fine when they hinder you. It's fine because most of the time it's when they get in your way, and sometimes, but that's fine. Or, I mean, my personal opinion, I would at least want the zombies to try getting the survivors than just being in the corner of the map doing fuck all. Yeah, make them better, and maybe make it in a way where, make it like this with the zombies. Make it where they have wall hacks on you all times, and then if they realize that they're not in a certain area where there's not a lot of survivors, they just completely despawn and go and move to a more concentrated area of survivors. I think that would make zombies so much better. And since now with the buff that they're a little bit faster, with the buff I recommended, they're not getting a buff right now, at least not that I'm aware of. But yeah, let's say that they're a little bit faster. They're a little bit faster, and they actually start spawning in areas that are concentrated with survivors. So they know when they're not in an area like that. So that would stop them from just being in a corner for like 30 seconds and just doing nothing, and then like maybe eventually move towards a survivor. So honestly, yeah. So like I said, so yeah, Nemi's tentacle is fine. It's just the zombies that are kind of lackluster. So it feels like most of the time you're just like a different pyramid head, honestly. But having the zombies, because the zombies are sometimes super weak, so I think having the zombies be a little bit better would help. Pinhead, aka I came, I combusted, I busted. I mean, I'm just getting too blatant at this point. Okay, so for Pinhead, all I would do is maybe add more chains to him, when he hits somebody, because right now 3, it doesn't seem like it's enough. 3 chains, 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 it doesn't seem At sometimes it feels like at some points it's like sometimes with Pyramid Head, I mean with Pyramid Head, sometimes with Pinhead it feels like you have to use the power, or like you have to use the game sense of Nurse to get the power of Clown, or you know what I mean. So in my opinion, him having more chains would be more rewarding, because then sometimes I feel like, oh wow, like in my head when when I play Pinhead, I'm like, wow, if I was just Nurse and I teleported there, I would have instantly gotten her or the survivor, whatever. So I feel like adding an extra chain to his base kit, so he has four, and then with the add-on that if they try to like break it off with an environment, then that's five. I think that's totally fine. He just needs an extra chain. In my opinion, just an extra chain would make him so much better. I mean, he's already good, don't get me wrong. He's already really good. Like he can handle with comp and really sweaty survivors. He can handle with the box and everything. So just adding an extra chain would just make it where like if he does get like a really nutty shot, it rewards him, right? Because it's hard to get those shots, honestly. Okay, so artist, aka Bird Mommy. Bird Mommy. This is another really good killer that, in my opinion, doing any buff would kind of like make her a bit too much, bit OP at times. If you were to if you were to give her any kind of buff that's kind of like relatively big. Okay, so I thought about this one, and it's a bit, it might be a bit too strong, but it depends. I think it would just be something very niche, honestly, that works like once in a while. It would be basically the equivalent of like getting like a cross map with Huntress, where it like a cross map with Huntress, it's like it's skill, don't get me wrong, like that requires skill, but it's also a little bit of luck, because you kind of have to hope that they keep moving in the certain direction that in your head they're gonna keep going, right? So that's the luck part. The skill is still like trying to like mechanically like adjust yourself into that, what you consider in your head is going to be where they're gonna keep going, right? I think this should be an add-on, not necessarily in her base kit. So yeah, I know this does kind of suck, but I think this should be an add-on. Maybe change one of her add-ons that are like useless. I know every killer has like one or two add-ons that are useless. Okay, so this will be the add-on, all right? When you hit a survivor with the bird, regardless if it takes a health state or not, like if it just gives them birds, okay, or if it takes a health state, no matter what, it will fly towards the nearest. It will fly towards the nearest survivor, and no matter what, like if that nearest survivor is across the map, it will fly towards it. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that it will bank shot off of it. So let's say it injures the survivor, right? It will injure the survivor, and then the bird will, I guess, will realize where is the closest survivor and just instantly fly to that area. So it'll be like a lazy bank shot, because obviously like you yourself did not work that, right? So I think that's why it should be an add-on. But I think it would be really cool because you could get like really cool shots that you never would assume. Like maybe there's a survivor on the gen, and then the bird just randomly, you just see like boom, it, like you hit a survivor with the bird, and then it just bank shots off like somewhere in it, and you hear like the like where the birds hit. That'll be kind of funny. So I think that would add like a lot more fun to her. She would be a lot more fun in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's something that I thought about it. So definitely not something that should be base kit. It would be a bit too strong. She would be a bit too annoying with that thing. But if it's like an add-on thing where, believe me, there's better add-ons that you could run with this, that you can run. There's better add-ons that you can run than this. This would just be something like if you want to have fun, but it's still relatively good, honestly. Okay, so for the Oreo, I don't know what to do, because she is in a pretty good position right now, in my opinion. In my opinion, she's maybe like high B, maybe just no high B, just because she's just an M1 killer. High B to mid B. At the fundamentals of the Oreo, she's just an M1 killer. So yeah, she still has to go through a lot of the shit that survivors have right now, and she has no way of countering it, unless you're condemned, of course. But that's a different story. However, I think what I would do right now is that right now having the videotape essentially cancels her out her power. Essentially, that's what it does. If you have a videotape that's it, it's over. Like, yeah, there's a risk, but if you're hiding in the corner of the map doing gens, then it's not affecting you. So, in my personal opinion, I think that they should add something around the lines of, this might be a bit too strong and it might be used wrong, but fuck it, I'll say it either way. I feel like this could easily turn her from a low B, mid B to high B to possibly even like mid A. But have it where if you have a videotape after after 120 seconds, so 2 minutes, right? So after 2 minutes of you just carrying a videotape and never taking it to a TV, you gain condemned. I know. This is this will basically eventually will force survivors to, oh shit, we need to put it in a tape. Because right now you could literally just hold out the tape for the entire game. As long as you don't get hit, then that's it. No counter. And you cancel out her power. So I think being able to have it where if it hits 2 minutes, once it hits a 2 minute mark, you are condemned. And that's why I would think it would be better to try to reach. You have 2 minutes where you could just fuck around with the videotape before you put it on a TV, and you're not completely canceling out her power, right? So you have 2 minutes, and I think that's fine because with 2 minutes you can, if you're working with somebody, you still have enough time to do a gen and then go do it and everything. So then yeah, put it on any TV, right? This could be a little bit overpowered with iridescent videotape, but iridescent videotape alone right now is already overpowered. But like I said, this would bump her up to possibly even mid A, having this kind of buff, because it would eventually force survivors out of the gens. So even for a little bit, that little bit I've seen at times. This game is about seconds. Sometimes you were either seconds away from winning or you were seconds away from losing. That's how this game is. So being able to take the survivors out of the generators for even like 10 seconds or even more, depending on if there's not a TV nearby, I think this would be pretty powerful. But yeah, this would be like a kind of counterplay to, but it would be like a thing where like, okay, go fucking put the TV on a fucking, or go put the fucking tape on a TV. Don't just hold it out all game, because then you essentially just cancel out her power, right? Eventually, right? Like I said, it's also not too oppressive. Like I said, that's why I didn't say like a minute or 30 seconds, because that would be way too powerful. And it makes sense. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and then if you don't get that tape in a TV, then you're gonna get condemned. But then it's not that big of a deal, because if you're, like I said, this is more to affect the people who are just hammering gens, because those are the people who are usually in the tapes, right? They're just hammering gens with the tape. But yeah, that would be my buff. It might be a bit too powerful and a bit too early for her, since right now she basically got a buff. But I think maybe later down the road, once survivors really know how to counter the Onryo or the Oreo, I think she should definitely get a buff like this. Something like this. Something around the lines of this, where like some, or interfere something with just having the videotape. Because I feel like right now having the videotape just completely cancels out her power, right? So yeah, I think that should definitely be something. That would be my buff idea for the Oreo. A bit overpowered? Maybe. I don't know. Alright, so the dredge. In my opinion, all you have to do is just Nightfall. Give people the fucking blindness effect. It doesn't make sense why they don't get the blindness effect base kit. Because I've played against the dredge and I have windows of opportunity. I'm a windows of opportunity gamer because I don't play much survivor and I kind of suck with connecting. Behavior released like a player charts of like how much how many, like what are the top 10 killer perks and top 10 survivor perks. And I for sure, if I'm not mistaken, I think windows of opportunity was in there. For sure, I think Windows of Opportunity was top 5. So yeah, almost like I think like 40% of the player base uses Windows of Opportunity. So I think having this with Dredge, sometimes I've seen it. I played against a Dredge with Windows of Opportunity, and his Nightfall is honestly not even that big of a deal. You know where all the pellets are. You could just go to one or a window, anything, and it's not even that scary or dangerous in that matter. So in my opinion, Nightfall should definitely apply the blindness effect. It would help him a lot. Nightfall's not that big of a deal, but I think having other perks, it could cancel out so many other perks. It could cancel Kindred. Obviously, like I said, Nightfall doesn't last very long, and it only gets activated maybe 3 times in the entire match, or maybe 4. So if you have Kindred, it cancels out Kindred. If you manage to hook somebody while in Nightfall, it cancels a bunch of aura reading perks. So, and it doesn't do that right now because it doesn't apply blindness. It doesn't apply blindness. So in my opinion, that's it. For Dredge, it's a simple one, but I think a really good one for him. Just give him blindness. Alright guys, for Wesker, my boy. For Wesker, my boy, just give him 3 bounds, honestly. He needs it. Yeah, 3 bounds. Base kit right now. Nah, I'm just kidding. That would be overpowered. An actual legit buff that's not like completely overpowered towards Whisker. This is a heated debate. This is a heated debate. I don't know if it still is, but it was for a while. But his hitbox is so fucking weird. It's so janky, and I don't really know how to deal with it because it feels like sometimes you're like, oh, I should definitely be around that, right? I should definitely get a hit here, and then you like literally just touch the survivor, and it doesn't give you the prompt. If I'm not mistaken, I have a clip right here of this happening to me where I literally touched the Jill. It was a Jill, if I'm not mistaken. It was a Jill. I literally touched her with my power, and it completely did not give me the hit or anything. No connection, no nothing. So honestly, they have to change something. It's just a quality of life. Because like I said, honestly, Wesker is a really good killer. So honestly, all he needs is just quality of life updates. And honestly, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how you would fix this, but maybe make his hitbox slightly bigger. Sometimes it's because it's so weird with Wesker, man. Sometimes it feels like your hitbox is like, what, really? I got a hit there? When you're like, really, I should have not gotten a hit there, honestly. And then sometimes you're like, what? I didn't get a fucking hit there. What the fuck? It feels like that sometimes. It's weird. His hitbox is so janky. It's so fucking weird. It's so inconsistent. It's essentially what I'm trying to say. So just make his hitbox a little more consistent. And I think that would be all for Wesker. Wesker's a pretty good killer, in my opinion. Well, not just my opinion. Everybody's opinion. He's really good. He's really good. He's essentially like a shittier nurse, but being considered a shittier nurse is not even that bad of a. It's a really good compliment because a shittier nurse is really good, honestly. And he also has a slowdown when you get a hit with the bound. Also, one thing, a disclaimer or not disclaimer. Just one thing I'd like to note: never get rid of his fucking techs. His techs are the best thing in the fucking world. Literally makes him go from low A to possibly high A, if not maybe even S tier with his techs. Do not get rid of his techs behavior. Being able to rebound, Skywesker, Urabend, everything like, oh no, super good. Do not get rid of that. I'm just saying that just in case the behavior gets any ideas of wanting to get rid of it. Okay, so for the night, there's a lot of things for the night. Honestly, he's another killer where he got a buff like recent. Well, not recently. It's been a couple months since he got this buff, but it helped him a lot. I still think he needs more buffs. Essentially, what I would do is he has a brown add-on right now. If I'm not mistaken, it's the map of the realm. I feel like that should be base kit. This is something that they could do right now, right? Just give them base kit map of the realm, which because right now it feels like without map of the realm you cannot connect to anything. Like it's super hard for the you have to be literally the fucking AI or whatever guard you're using literally has to be on the fucking survivor's ass in order to be detected. With map of the realm, it's more forgiving. So just making that base kit would help a lot more to his power. But now that we're here already with the knight, I would want to suggest more things. I heard I was watching a while a hand stream and I heard him saying something about suggesting like a night change, and he said that the three guards should all be like they should be more unique, more special, and I definitely agree with this. Obviously, this would take way longer for the behavior to implement, but I think what he said is super true. I think they should definitely make them more specialized. He just said specialized, right? But I think I will go more in deep and depth. When he said that, I started to think to myself, wow, how he's right. Like, how could they make them more specialized? And for example, but the thing is that like right now, you could basically use them all for the same thing, and they all do the same thing. Honestly, you could see where behavior was trying their best and trying to like make them unique, but it's just a bit hard. This, like I said, this is my way of trying to think of how we could specialize the guards, right? The knight, for example, the assassin, make it where he cannot do anything but just chase. You cannot use him to break pallets. You cannot make him to break windows. You cannot make him to do anything but chase. But he has a really long chase time. Like he has like, okay, not as long as a Carnifex, but like right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think he chases for 12 seconds. Make it 15 seconds. 15 seconds, he's 115. But that's all you're going to use him for. You want to use him for that? You cannot use him for anything. You cannot kick gens with him. You cannot break pellets with him. Nothing. He's just strictly chase. And then this goes for the jailer now. The jailer, I think he should be like the certified gen kicker. He can chain gen kicks essentially. This I think this would be really unique of him. It might be a little bit too strong in the sense of 3 genning. Hopefully not. We would have to see how this works. But fuck it. The jailer, if you have enough trail in your knight that you can chain, he will go hit one, then go hit another one, and then if you could even reach a third one, fuck it, hit another one, and then that's it. He goes away. That's his thing, right? Or if you click on clicking, right? And then as that, he could also be seen as a recon, right? He has like a really big one. But if you decide to gen kick, that's all he's doing. He's not gonna gen kick all the three gens and then apart from that, like go chase somebody. He's just gonna either he does recon or he does gen kicking. As I was watching the recording of the night one, I didn't really like specify more on the recon ability of the jailer, so I'm gonna go over it right now. He won't be able to chase anybody. Like right now, how the jailer works is that he sees somebody and he strictly goes for her or him, right? The survivor. Right now, what he would do is that he would have the big range that he usually has. That's his speciality. And instead of just going follow them, he's just gonna mark them. He's gonna make it easier for you to see, and he's gonna have their auras revealed from, let's say, 5 seconds. So 5 seconds, they get to, you see their aura, and they have like this like green glow, like that, like that night glow. They will have that green night glow, and you will see their auras for 5 seconds of anywhere where the jailer you put them in the path, right? And I think that would be really good. So essentially, with this, either you want to use them for gen kicking or you want to use them for recon. So you either have two choices. So yeah, that would be my way of specializing the jailer a little more. And then the Carnifex. The Carnifex, I think he should be the one that, fuck it, let him strictly just break a bunch of shit. Let him break multiple pallets, walls, if they're obviously downed. I think to a certain degree, he should be the opposite of what the Assassin is right now. Like, Assassin should have the longest chase time, and he should have maybe the 12 seconds. Like, maybe Assassin should be 20 seconds, and then, I know I said 15 seconds, but fuck it, we'll change it right now. Assassin does 20 seconds, and then the Carnifex does the 12 seconds. I never knew that why. I don't know why maybe because we're afraid that the assassin might be too overpowered, but I think if you specialize them like this, then it would be a lot better. But I think the Carnifex, fine, he can chase, but he won't chase for too long, just 12 seconds, which is not enough most of the time. But let him chain pellets. If they're obviously down, then you're gonna be able to chain them. Obviously not like a bunch of them, right? Like maybe only let them chain like two. Well, I guess two is fine. Let him break two at a time. So he goes break one, and then he goes to another one, boom. But that, like I said, that's all he does. He does not get out. He does not finish breaking those two pellets and then continues to move around his trail. Either you want him for those shitty 12 seconds or you put him to break pellets and walls. And I think doing this would help a lot. It would basically make it where like, okay, I'm chasing somebody. Fuck it. Let me put the assassin. Boom. Or then it's like, fuck, I need some pressure. Let me get, I have the jailer. All right, let me just start chaining a bunch of gens and start kicking them. And then I think that would help a lot. And then the Carnifex, well, then he just breaks all the pellets. He shouldn't be able to chain too many. I think at most, two or three. Maybe three with add-ons. Change some bit of his add-ons. Like I said, this would probably never happen. But if it does, then that would be really cool. Because I feel like that would make Night so much more fun and engaging to play. Because right now, really, the only engaging part of Night is just the fact that you can pinch people and multitask, I guess. It's just a bit fun. Like, it's a bit fun to see, like, okay, well, the AI is coming over here, and then I'm over here, you're kind of fucked. Boom, pinched. But that's about it. But having this power would significantly help him in the long run. He might even be more strong, in my opinion. Alright, Skull Merchant, aka Chess Player, aka Grandmaster, aka Annoying Bitch. Honestly, how she is right now, no buffs, please. Just a complete different rework. What would I even suggest for a rework? I don't know, honestly. I don't know. This is like the only time I might just complain and just say rework, but obviously I'm just the brain power of one person. Behavior has like a brain power, I'm assuming, of at least a minimum of 20 people, right? They're brainstorming this shit. Obviously, they probably have more, but that's just like a conservative guess. But yeah, she needs a completely different rework. I just think buffing her is just not gonna be the play. She needs to. It's essentially what they did with Freddy. Like old Freddy was not very good, and what they did right now with Freddy is fine. Just that his add-ons are boring. I already went over that, so yeah, that's whatever. I'm just repeating myself at that point. So yeah, she needs a different rework, in my opinion. That's her buff idea. Give her a fucking rework. I don't know for what. It's really hard. I don't know what you could even rework her into. It's essentially like you're doing a completely different killer with her. You're gonna have to completely rework her. Like it's gonna be a different killer at this point. All right, so for singularity, what I would do is just give. He's a really good killer, like low A to high B. Honestly, what I would do is just give him some quality of life changes. Right now, it feels like shit playing like it feels like shit playing singularity sometimes. Like for example, one thing, the biopods. If you put it in a location, if you put it at a certain angle, you won't be able to get a survivor. And then but then it still highlights it to you, showing that you can still get it. So then you're just there stuck thinking, well, can I get the hit or not? And then it doesn't. Kind of just sucks. So either make it where like as long as the survivor is white, like highlighted in white and not out of range, he will get the biopod connection or like the infection. That's one of quality of life improvement. Another one is with his cams. Sometimes it feels like this happened to me a lot of times. I don't know, maybe it's just a skill issue, but it's like I'm trying to connect to one biopod and then it connects me to the one behind it, and it's like, oh, that sucks. I don't know how you would even go about go about with fixing this, but maybe make it where like the closest one to singularity is the one that the marker connects to. So, because that's most of the time what I mean. I don't mean the one all the way in the back over there. I mean the one closest to me, and then you're like stuck there, like, oh shit, like, where's the survivor? When you're like, oh, and then you find out that you connected to the wrong one, and then by the time you get out, the survivor's already out. It's like, oh, no, the survivor already left the loop, and like he or she already gained a bunch of distance. So yeah, it's just a bunch of quality of life improvements, and I think he would become a lot better. Just makes it a lot easier to play. All right, so I finished talking about all the killers and at least one buff idea for all of them. I really expect this to be like a 15-minute video, and nope, it turned out to be a 50-minute video, basically an hour. I didn't expect to be rambling for so much, but hey, I guess. I probably should have said this in the beginning, but the only reason I even came up with this video is just because when the a long time ago when MMR was just barely being implemented, it was like true MMR. It wasn't soft kept or anything. Survivors complained that at the top MMR level, everything that all they saw was just spirit, blight, and nurse, right? And they were like, oh no, like it's so boring playing at the top level because all you see is like blight, nurse, and spirit and then it's like the only reason those killers, the people are running those killers, is because those are the only viable against you, because then you yourself in top MMR are running meta as builds. So then it's like they probably have tried running meta builds, or I mean they tried running other killers and they get absolutely domed. So then they're like, wow, really, the only way for me to have enjoyment in this game is if I play like the top three killers. So that's why. So they would complain saying that all they would go up against is three killers and it's boring. So they soft capped it. In my opinion, what they should do is that instead of soft capping the MMR, is that they should buff every killer to be viable. I feel like every killer should be at the A to B tier. So then they could actually be more viable in others in the top MMR. Like it's very hard in the top MMR, or not right now, but back then, top MMR to run fucking clown. You would get clowned on, ironically. It would be very hard. So this is why I even came up with this video. Just like as a way of like maybe diversifying, and maybe one day if they actually like buff all the killers like a lot, then maybe one day we could actually bring like true MMR into the game. But yeah, that's the only reason why I even thought about this video. And if you disagree with any of my takes or agree with my takes, I would a comment down below would be much appreciated. Anyways, guys, have a good day, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, have a good night. I'll see you in the next one.